Hey guys, so as you can see, I'm doing this episode inside today, and you saw from that little intro video that it's raining, or I should say it's hailing and raining, and there's a thunderstorm going on outside. And that's pretty rare for this part of the country to get hail, and to get rain for that matter. So just doing this one inside. So all of those of you who were saying in previous videos, you know, it's too loud because of the wind, there's no wind inside, although you might hear some thunder. So let's do a quick rundown of the new cases. Kind of a strange thing happened here. Earlier this morning, when I woke up, I checked my Twitter, and new cases had been announced. Usually they're announced once a day on around 4 o'clock, 3:30 p.m. or so. And this time in the morning they announced some cases, and then, or actually I shouldn't say they announced them. They were updated on the that website, the tracking website, which you can find in the description of this video. And then the Ministry of Health posted an official update of the new cases. There were 206 new cases, bringing the total up to 2,385 cases of COVID-19 in the kingdom. And this update did not have the list of cities and how many each city gained from yesterday. So I don't have that number for you today. If they add it to future videos, I will provide that information, but I don't have it today. So I do have the total recoveries. There were 68 more recoveries kingdom-wide, bringing the recoveries up to 488. So there were 2,385 total cases. Included in that number is the 488 recovered. The world had an increase of almost 100,000 from yesterday, 97,000 more, bringing the total up for the world to 1,227,000, a little bit above that. And by the time you're watching this video, probably 10,000 above that or more. An interesting piece of information that was released is the breakdown of COVID-19 cases in Saudi Arabia by by cases from native Saudis, or Saudi citizens I should say, and cases from foreigners, from expats as the kingdom calls us. So the total population of Saudi Arabia, it's like, let me look it up on my computer. I think it's like 37 million, but let's get an exact figure. Saudi population. Oh, no, 33 million. All right, and of those citizens, about 21 million, about 2/3 of them are Saudis, and the other 10, 11 million are foreigners. And the breakdown by citizenship, 47% of COVID-19 confirmed cases in the kingdom are Saudi, and 53% are foreigners. Dubai began a 2-week lockdown last night. I don't have anything more to say about that. I just thought I'd mention it since it's in the region. Traffic accidents, it was released figures. Traffic accidents are down 59% in Saudi Arabia in March, which is an incredible amount of reductions in traffic accidents. If you've ever been to Saudi Arabia or seen video, you'll know that this is a country where people drive the way they want to drive. We'll say that. It's great that that this has reduced the total number of traffic accidents. Drivers here can sometimes be a little wild. Sometimes my students had not come to class or came late because they were in car accidents, stuff like that. I've never been in a car accident in Saudi Arabia, although I was in a bus a few times where we came really close, and in a car once where we came really close. Pretty common thing, I think. Next, we have, all right, about the oil price war. So OPEC Plus, which I talked about, I think 2 episodes ago, whenever that long 20-minute one was, I think. episode. OPEC Plus, they delayed their meeting. They were going to meet on Monday, tomorrow, and now they're going to meet on Thursday. I think all these countries are just dealing with the coronavirus, and they needed some more time to deal with domestic problems before they dealt with the oil war. So they're meeting on Thursday, and in a very unprecedented move, Saudi Arabia, or that is to say Saudi Aramco, they're delaying their May OSP. This is the official selling price for the crude oil that they pump. They're delaying that. It usually comes out on the 5th of the month, that is today, because today is April 5th, about 5:30. And now they're delaying that OSP until April 10th. They're trying to make a deal at this OPEC Plus virtual meeting on Thursday. And if they don't make a deal that's satisfactory to all parties involved, I don't think they will, then they will release their OSP, which will probably be quite low. And then lots of countries that produce oil in OPEC Plus will probably regret not making a deal. But this gets into the whole oil supply war. I talked about that more in a longer video. So if you want to hear my the genesis of that and what all parties want, you can check out that long video. All right, the U.S. Embassy, they have a flight leaving Dammam tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And that goes right from Dammam Airport to Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C. So tickets are the same price as they were from the one out of Riyadh, which was packed, I'm told. Tickets started at 6,000 SAR for the regular price, and business class went up to 16,000. And they announced as well, the embassy did about 5 hours ago, that there is a flight leaving Jeddah on April 10th. Not 10th, sorry, April 8th. I was looking at 10 a.m. April 8th. The time is not yet released. Probably will be leaving in the morning. Anyway, so that flight's leaving Jeddah. It'd be about the same cost, 6,000 to 16,000 SAR, leaving on April 8th. And I found out that because I am in, here is Khamis Mushait, or Mushait. This is Asir region. This is part of the U.S. Jeddah mission. That's not part of the Riyadh or the Dammam or Khobar, whatever they call the last one, I forget. So basically, if I'm ever going to take one of these evacuation flights when my contract ends in 6 weeks roughly, then I have to do it through Jeddah. I have to leave from Jeddah. And there is a system now in place, and I can work with the embassy, and they'll maybe arrange something or tell me how to arrange my own transit out of this province. Because right now, all interprovincial travel in Saudi Arabia is canceled or prohibited, we'll say, suspended. And I look forward very much to seeing what the roads are like out there once you get to like the real highways and the big roads of Saudi. I don't know if there's really anyone on the road now except from the people who are doing food supplies, medical supplies, and police. And I'd like to check that out. But I won't get a chance to do that for several more weeks. So, I have a few questions that people asked me in the last episode, and I guess I'll end with this. Srikant asks, do I think China hid the actual numbers, their actual infection numbers, I assume he means, to the world in terms of actual infected persons and numbers of death? And if so, do you have a guess as to the actual impacted numbers in China? Well, I used to live in China for about a year and a half. This time last year, I was in China. And I can say pretty confidently, although not 100% certainty, that they definitely did rig their numbers and underreported numbers. Now, there could be lots of reasons why they do this. Sometimes they have suspected testing positive, tests that were positive that they never tested and could not fully confirm. Sometimes they get positive numbers, and they hide those numbers in order to save face, which is very huge in Chinese culture, and just not trying to embarrass yourself. And we can see by the way that China initially suppressed journalists and leakers and scientists at the beginning of this pandemic that it's totally not beyond their character and is exactly what you would expect of the Chinese government to rig these numbers, and I suspect they did. I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure they did. What was my guess for the actual infected? I don't know, really. Could be 50% more, could be 100, twice as much. I don't think it would be more than 3 times the actual Chinese figure, which is right now like, I don't know, 81, 82,000. So I don't think it would be more than 250,000, but I don't know. I do think America handled I'll say the numbers for America are worse per capita than they are reportedly in China. But obviously China didn't do a very good job handling this at the beginning. Once they got real, it got real. And they supposedly it's gone away for now. Although a second wave is probably coming in China and in most countries. It's going to come in waves. I think that this virus will be with us for more than a year to come, probably more than 2 years. I think it will take at least 4 years for the economy to really get cranking and back to the levels that we saw earlier, although it might take some time until we get back to the 2019 levels. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, it's going to come in waves. So even in America right now, I think we're seeing numbers start to not decline, but the rate of infection might be going down. I might not, as far as I know. But eventually, it's going to go down. People are going to have to go back to work, though, and businesses will have to reopen, and then people will start going back. The lockdowns will be lifted, or people will just protest them because they need money, and the banks aren't giving them any credit or any kind of kindness or relief. So they'll be forced to go back, and I think there will be a second wave of coronavirus infections in June. I think it's going to peak in April in America, peak again in June, and might peak again in September, October, and then it could even again in January or something like that. And I think it's going to be like that worldwide, although when those waves are will change, because tourism is pretty much dead now, and will be gone for the next at least year, probably longer, especially to some hard affected regions like China and even America. The reputation of the coronavirus is going to linger for a long time and not make people want to come to those countries, for better or worse. So that's a very long answer to a fairly short question. And a last question here. Someone says, if you were chosen to be part of a clinical trial to test one of the ongoing coronavirus vaccines, would you accept? Would I accept? Is it in Saudi Arabia or is it in America? Probably doesn't matter. I would just say no thanks. Unless they're paying me a lot of money and the suspected side effects are not that great, I would probably not do it. I do have a pretty high risk tolerance, but there doesn't have to be me. There will be plenty of other people lining up to take this coronavirus vaccine, I think. So if you have a question that you want me to answer or a comment that you want me to respond to, please let me know in the comments below, and I will answer them in a future video. So I think we'll just end this video and like, subscribe, all the rest, and I'll just leave you with another shot of this hailstorm outside. It was really unprecedented. I've never seen rain like this before in Saudi Arabia. I've only seen rain maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 times. This was a mix of rain and hail. So anyway, just very interesting, and maybe we'll get it again. Maybe we won't. But anyway, that's it. So thanks for watching, everybody.